Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Witches of the Moon. My name is Dia, aka OrioOasis.com, and I am one of your hosts here, if I didn't say that. And this week we're talking about, as you should already know, Cauldron Magic. Now, where do I want to go with this? Okay, so a cauldron is just simply a pot with a lid that throughout time you generally cooked in. So, with that being said, way back then, first there was clay pots, and then we came to then we came to the age where we start making iron pots, right? And then the age where we making iron pots, this is where folklore came in, and when we see in pictures where we see like a pot of gold from a leprechaun is normally in an iron pot. There's a deeper meaning to that. Hopefully, I'll get to it. But this is where the idea, of using iron pots or iron cast skillet pots for magic and stuff came, and of course Hollywood played a big deal in that. And by Hollywood I mean way back still when they was drawing pictures and stuff, and they drew pictures of these pots and everything. Shakespeare played it up in Macbeth, I think it was. He played up the idea of the cauldron using this big old iron pots. But in origin, and I'm getting off track because, excuse me, I'm probably going to be all over the place on this one. In origin, a cauldron is just a pot with a lid that you use to cook in. And of course, in times, like everybody didn't have 4 or 5 different pots. They used that one cauldron for everything. So, and whether you was cooking a meal for your family or whether you was sick and you had to make some type of remedy, it was all done in this one big pot. Now, with that being said, again, most of us know that of the iron pot, this little cauldron. And yes, you can see my little cauldron is rusted, but it's rusted for a reason. I never cured this pot. I did not want it cured. I wanted the rust, because of because of what rust is. I do a lot of what's considered the most painful work in that particular pot, because my brain's all over the place. Okay, so let me bring it back for a second, right? Cauldron is nothing more but a pot with a lid. With that being said, you don't have to stick to the idea of using an iron pot for your spell work. It could be any type of pot, because all this is a pot with a lid that can be used to cook in. So it has to be some type of thing that can be heated if needed. However, most of us, we're either lighting candles in this or we're burning something in it, so you still want to be able to hold heat and be fire safe, right? Now, with that being said, I want to get into the iron pot and why iron is such a great thing to use to. But also, I want to talk about its, I don't want to say its opposite, its partner, copper, and why copper pots is also a great cauldron to work with. So, iron, right? Iron is connected to the planet Mars. Mars is the energy of war and sex, but more importantly, Mars is the energy of blood. Now, why is that? It is the iron in our blood that carries the oxygen through the body. I think that's it. Said it right. The iron has to do with the oxygen in our body. I don't know all the whole scientific thing. You can look it up, but yeah. So this is why iron is associated with blood, right? And this is why blood comes 2 ways, either by the passing through of making of a baby through sex, or the shedding of blood through war. And this is why this is associated with the planet Mars, because Mars is heavy in iron. Iron is red. Red is the color of blood. The Earth is actually very iron, or at least it used to be, very iron rich, which is the reason why iron was a great thing to use for materials and manifesting things that you want. So an iron pot or an iron cast skillet is great for using to manifest stuff. Now, like I said, I like the rust because rust is the oxidation. I can talk. Iron is the oxidation of, rust is the oxidation of iron, which means it gives it kind of a little more of a charge in a way when it comes to magical purposes. So for me, when I'm working with the cauldron, right? When I work with the cauldron, first of all, I use it more so as a jar spell or container spell. However, in saying that, I do not put liquids in it. I do not put liquids in it. If I was working with, which of course I never have one around me when I need one, but if I was working with a mojo bag or a dial or herbs itself or whatever I want to pack in here, I would pack it in here. It's been clean, but I pack it in here, and then instead of holding the lid this way, I put the lid on top this way, and I stick the candles, like the bottom of the candle, and stick it right to the lid, and I burn the candles down that way. And so whatever happens manifests. And then I take it out and I clean it out, and I do the same thing all over again. Now again, saying that, I like mine rusted. I've never cured this. If you want to preserve it better, you do need to cure it. That's a matter of basically sealing it with the fat, and the fat stops the oxidization. The fat stops air, basically oxygen, from getting into the cells, which makes it rust. The oil doesn't, well, I shouldn't say stop it. The oil cuts down. So you want to baste it with some type of oil, stick it in the oven for a couple hours, and then it's done. However, once you use it and you clean it, you have to repeat the process all over again. For me, like I said, I use this for symbolic blood magic, because iron is in the blood. Iron does represent the blood. So you could use an iron cast skillet for symbolic blood magic. I use it, again, like I said, more so for baneful work, and I also use it for straight passion and aggression when it comes to relationship work, I would say, or sex work. So with that being said, though, you don't have to be confined to the constraints of an iron pot. You could also use a copper pot, and I don't feel like getting up to get mine, but you can use a copper pot. A copper pot represents Venus. Copper and Venus go hand in hand, right? And Venus is the planet of arts and music and luxury. So with that being said, a copper pot is actually better to use for attracting things, or for material, for things of excess or things of beauty. Because that's what the planet Venus is all about. So you would use it for attraction work. You could use it for beauty spells. You could use it, to grind up your beauty herbs in it, or at least toss it in there and use that to charge the herbs. I would say more so than grind it in there. But my whole thing is, once you understand that a cauldron is nothing but a pot with a lid that can take heat, you don't have to be stuck to the idea of an iron cauldron. And once you open yourself up to that, there are a lot of metals out there that you can use as your actual cauldron for different things that represent different things. Like I just gave you copper for Venus and iron for Mars, and we all know what those two stand for. Like I said, I like to use mine not so for grinding herbs and stuff, but I like to use mine as an actual container spell or a jar spell without liquid in it. I forgot everything else I was going to say because I was going somewhere with it. I don't know, whatever. But yeah. Oh, also, that's where I was going to go to. Also, keep in mind that when it comes to cauldron spells, your kitchen pots are also cauldrons. Any pot you have with a lid that you cook in is a cauldron. So this is where kitchen witch or kitchen magic come in, where the meal that you serve becomes a spell. You could cook cakes, cornbread, stews, especially stews. Anything you have in there, any type of cookware you have in there. Once you learn the symbolism and you start consciously focusing on it, your spell becomes the meal. Y'all know I love cooking. I love to eat. Okay? So this is how this adds into your magic and add into your magic into your everyday life. Will just be a little more conscious of the thing that you use and why you use it, and consciously choosing the stuff to create your magical recipes. Now, with that being said, with cauldron magic, it's just like anything else. The options are endless once you just understand, it's just a pot with a lid that can take heat. All right? from my understanding anyway. So with that, guys, keep open mind. Of course, you can go with what's traditionally the iron pot, but there's so many other pots and metals that you could work with, especially if you're into alchemy like I am. And the metals hold different things. There's so many different things you could do with it. Uh, Again, I personally like container spells, but they're made to hold heat, so you can burn in them, burn candles in them, burn petitions in them. The only thing I do suggest, though, if you're not actually using it as a kitchen spell, meaning you're using a pot to cook on the stove, I would suggest putting it on concrete ground. Don't sit there on your carpet thinking you about to burn a candle, burn some stuff like this. The whole thing won't heat up because this whole thing holds heat. So them legs will burn a hole in your carpet. Okay. Make sure the ground that it's sitting on can also hold heat. Otherwise, you got a fire hazard on your hands. But yeah, that's it. Pretty much what I had to say. Everybody, don't forget to comment, to rate, and subscribe. Don't forget to watch everybody's videos. And stay blessed, be a blessing. And I'll see y'all next week.